Okay, thank you so much for joining our session. And post-lunch, we see this room's completely full, so quite happy about that. Okay, so coming on women in digital, and one of the things which I came across was it said gender equality and digital development is inextricably linked. Yet globally, we see men are 21% more likely to be online versus that of women, and in low-income countries, it can actually become, 52%. And then I have these two ladies in here who've been in women who are leading the digital space in a way, and this is what I wanted to speak to you more about. In a recent study by Grant Thornton, what we saw was there's been a significant increase in women CEOs, CHROs, CIOs in Malaysia, to the tune of 38% at this stage. And what has been the driving force behind you two to come to this stage? What has been your journey, scaling all the barriers and all the motivators out around there? So Malini, maybe we start with you.
Hi everyone. I see lots of women here. This is wonderful. Can I just get a round of applause for all the wonderful, gorgeous women in this room? Yeah, we're going to talk about all of you and us. So, Divya, lovely question. If I were to look back, I grew up in a family with no boys. So we were girls and boys. So our parents and my grandparents got us to do everything, whatever we wanted. It's when I embarked on the work world, we realized there is such thing as gender. So we were very gender neutral in everything we did. My mom came from India. Surprisingly, she didn't cast off any of those things that she went through to me. But I just wanted to do what I loved, and I just carried on. And I must say, when you're with your family, you need mom and dad to support you. University. But when you get to work and you get married, you do need that support structure. Now, whether you are a CHRO, whether you are a manager, whoever you are, and whichever level you are, the support structure for women are very key. So I think for me, I've been blessed from that perspective. And, I just keep doing what I feel I can do and keep striving. I mean, and in one thing, just before I hand it over to you, I don't believe in just getting a seat on the table because I'm a she. I believe in making sure that I really deserve it. Otherwise, don't give it to any woman. Right? Do you agree with that? We don't want any free seats now, do we? Yeah.
It's all about merits and also the competency that you bring to the table.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so hi everyone. So Sharina, and I'm from Petronas. My journey is quite different than yours, Malini. I actually, I have 14 siblings in my family. My dad remarried after my mom passed away. And it has always been, the need to really outperform and also deliver the best that I can be. Show to my parents that I continuously grow in whatever I do, and also reinventing myself, right? Relearning, unlearning, and also, pushing forward, right? So the journey in Petronas, I guess, Petronas has been a company which supports gender equality, right? And at the same time, you have diverse roles across the organization, across the group, internationally as well, and it's up to you to show to everybody what skills and competencies you have, and then what you bring on the table, right? So I'd like to also share where I am at the moment is actually in the transformation for the whole of Petronas. PT this morning from Maybank, he was saying that when you do a transformation, you need to know what it is that you're going to be transforming, and you need to do that at least module by module, right, to ensure consistency and also implementability. But what we did in Petronas, because 3 years ago, when we had the energy crisis, and at the same time, we were also hit with our own existential crisis within Petronas. Where do we go? How do we proceed within this energy industry? and how do we move forward with the green energy, coming on board, and where shall we play moving forward, right? So this is where the whole organization needed to do that enterprise level transformation. And that's when I said, look, I'd like to take up the role and be part of this change in the legacy that we're going to be implementing for the organization as well. So this is all about, it's like implementing changes across platforms, 3 platforms to be precise, right? Core HR and talent management, leadership and development, and also top talent management, and also across multiple different practices and also our processes, and at the same time changing the mindset and behavior as well. So this is where we are in this journey. We started off in 2019, right when COVID hit us, and then we've implemented some of the solutions already, and we're on the journey, and it's until 2025. So it's a long-term journey. So that's my story for today.
Oh, that's super. It brings me to think more about, what, like you mentioned, around COVID. In the last 3 to 5 years, I think we have honed our technical skills like never before. But we still see very few women in tech roles. And Marlene, maybe you could share around why do you see less women in tech roles? What could be the barriers, reasons,
right,
and your experience around it?
Frankly, I think Malaysian women have done fantastic the last 2 years, even during pandemic. All right, our numbers have grown. I must say, yes, there is a lower number in tech, mainly because maybe, this starts a lot earlier in school. Women are sort of underrepresented even in school. How many of us have mom and dad tell us, oh, pick up engineering, go for it, or go be a pilot, or be a programmer. We don't get that, right? But I was actually quite surprised. I was going through the MOHI, which is the Malaysian higher education stats for last year. There were more women in STEM courses. Do you believe that? But you know what? They don't all make it to do STEM jobs. I don't know why. Now, maybe the whole representation of women into tech jobs, we're not doing a great job. We ought to, right? Because we want to make sure that if you've studied computer engineering, you want to go into a job that's related. And that's, at Sense of Holdings Berhad, we're tied up with a few universities. We're trying to develop the whole concept of women in tech. So we want to make sure that we introduce iconic role models that they can start, looking at and saying, why don't I do that? Do you know who's the first woman programmer in the world? Born to a poet called Lord Byron, Ada Lovelace. While her father wrote poetries on romance and love stories, she loved machines. So it can happen, but we just to make sure that we enable them, we make sure that we encourage them to get in. So to your question, Divya, I think organizations really do. I mean, we do that at Sense of encouraging women to first go into tech. So we've got lots of women at mid-management, but we just now need to get them to start considering leadership roles, which is, a part of it has got to do with the diversity inclusion culture. Because if you don't have a culture or a support structure that allows that, elevation, they're just going to stay where they are and be happy with what they do. So we want to encourage them. That's what we do.
Super. It brings me to think more about the organization I come from in L'Oreal. We're a digital-first company. Our relationship with our consumers has definitely changed a lot in the last 3 to 5 years. And being digital-first, it allows us to do things differently, from online consultations to online consultations, ordering through voice technologies, putting so much more science in our products, which is where there's a lot of focus in bringing more women in science. And not many of you may know, but as a part of L'Oreal Foundation, we actually provide fellowships for women in science along with UNESCO in Malaysia. And there are some fortunate 40 women scientists who are benefiting a lot from it. But thanks for sharing that. I think we all can do something small, big, in our own different ways to bring more
Baby steps.
women in techs. Yes. Okay, and while all the organizations we hear today, including, I'm sure for many of you sitting in the audience as well, everybody is trying to strive and thrive in this gender equality space. So maybe Sharina, do you want to share some examples of how Petronas is driving, being a driving force around this? It's seen as the market leader in practices. So maybe something you can share with all of us.
Thanks, Divya. Petronas, I guess we're also, because we're so big, right? So we're at 50,000 staff strength all around the world. So we learn from where we operate in our regions as well, and what would be the best practices that we can also emulate in Malaysia and also our operations across. So some of the things that we've started with Petronas in our DEI journey, the first one is to come up with our D&I statement. And at the same time, we've also put in measures. I know we do not believe in measures, but then again, having measures kickstarts a lot of changes in the organization, from a practices perspective, from how we manage our people, the behaviors that we want to see within the organization. So that's the first thing. And at the same time, we've also introduced our D&I Council, which is at the group level, and it's chaired by one Dato Adif, which is the EVP of Upstream, and the composition of that council itself is actually very diverse. So we also have the president of the young professional club to be there, because in Petronas at the moment, the 4 measures that we're looking at, or the 4 areas for diversity and inclusion, is definitely women, right? The 30% in leadership roles. Number 2 would be multinationals as well, really having not only multinationals in their countries, but also having multinationals in our head office. Number 3, in terms of giving that space for the young generation to shine or show themselves. So we also wanted to identify young talents to be part of critical projects and leading them. So, and finally, in terms of changing the culture moving forward, because now we say, we want to embrace the agile mindset, and we want people to speak up and innovate, etc. So that's one. And from a benefits perspective, I'll share them, but it's not easy. It's not like, you presented a benefit, but you're going to get that approved immediately, right? So it takes a long time and a lot of iterations. But
it's putting disclaimers there.
Right.
You know that.
But some of the benefits that we have also implemented, for example, to support parents with special need children. So that's one. It's 1,500 per child per month, and it doesn't matter how many children you have that are special need, that will support that. Number 2, even pregnant women, we give them the flexibility to go back earlier from work, right? And at the same time, we've also established mothers' rooms, which is alternate floor space. For if you know Twin Towers, we have 83 levels, so it's alternate floor space. We established mother's room there, and also our own nursery, right? And what else that we have? And
have nurseries.
Yeah.
Perfect, right?
I'm making a mental note of all of this.
And at the same time, also flexible work arrangements, whereby because it's not only for women, it's for everybody. If you need to work in an alternative location because you need to, be nearer to your parents or nearer to your family, then you can request for that, and also flexible work arrangement. We have CWW before COVID. Every Friday you can, if you've worked the 38 hours and 39 hours, then you can, every Friday afternoon you can take the time off. Yes, for your self-development, or just taking time for your family, and also right now, because you have work in the office or work from home, work in the office, work from home. So right now we say that You have the flexibility of working at home, 8 days per month, depending. It's up to you how you manage that with your team. So those are some of the benefits that we've also implemented in Petronas. But I guess one of the stronger initiative also done is also to establish our network. Right, so our PLWN network, the Petronas Leading Women Network, which collaborates externally with the industry, and then also our Petronita network as well. So and we do have programs at various levels to also support our women leaders, and including mentoring. If you come into the organization at the middle manager stage and you're technical people, we also dedicate a mentoring program to support you. So I guess yes, it sounds that there's a lot, but ultimately it's really the execution of it to really bring that balance in terms of taking care of the well-being of your people within the organization as well.
That's amazing, honestly. I think for our participants as well, you've given some real tangible things that anybody could implement. So thank you so much for sharing that.
But it's not like, again, it's a journey.
It's a journey, absolutely.
It's not like immediately. Like, for example, if we wanted to re-establish the nursery, it took time. And it took support from everybody as well, right? So. Yeah, so it's as everybody must play their role to believe in it and really push for it, right, Malini?
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, we might not be Petronas, right, guys? But you know what? We need to have a culture that's inclusive enough so people understand women.
That's right.
Simple. We're not going to even get 25% of what Petronas has. Well, though we will keep trying. We're going to keep trying.
Right?
But guys, start with baby steps, right? The culture is going to help you advocate what women need, right? In fact, it's not just women, because special needs, I know lots of male employees share the whole taking care of special needs kids as well. But if we can do baby steps to get to that ultimate purpose, that's a huge milestone, right? I know everybody's going to talk about cost. This is where we're going to think outside the box, get innovative at workplace, think about ways that we can still achieve what we want, but, a fraction of what you guys are doing, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much for
where we
sharing
learn from
that.
each other, right?
Yeah, I think the way Malini puts it, like, start small, yeah, as we move along. Okay, so in the space of recruitment, what all your organizations have been doing in bringing more women into the workforce? It's very different from mine now, where we are focusing on bringing more men, right, guys? Yeah? Okay, so over to you guys. What are you all doing?
I guess going back to what I mentioned just now, working with universities, creating a very diverse pipeline of skills. It requires that inclusive culture, as I talked about, and a very gender-neutral recruitment policies. You're not going to be able to do that if you've got hiring managers says, male please, male, male. And now with maternity leave moving to 98 days, I'm sure you've got people saying, can we get more men? Right? So you got to have the right policies in place where it's very inclusive. And then not compromising skills, not compromising merits, not compromising competencies. Like I said, we don't want a free seat. So in every recruitment that we embark on, especially at the entry level for projects or for some of our products, we make sure that merit comes first. But if you have a choice and you've got the selection, and if the dynamics of that team is very men, it's women. We want to encourage that. But the same thing goes for ethnicity, right? And sometimes even in terms of age. You've got some people who want just very, very young people, right? The inclusivity includes for everything. So that's where we start, Divya. There's no hard and fast rule. This is how you got to do it. But we want to make sure meritocracy still wins.
Okay, I'd like to also add from our side, as part of our sustainability efforts and really building that pipeline into Petronas, we do work with the schools, like for example, the vocational schools to identify those with a technical background to be part of our organization moving forward. And I'm sure everybody also know that Petronas, we do give the scholarships year-on-year basis, not only for those that will be undergoing the program, engineering program for Petronas, but at the same time for nation building as well, for the programs to support the nation's agenda. And all in all the initiatives that we're doing at the moment, we do, the first step that we do is really talk about what is the recruitment strategy, and then really how do we also want to increase that women numbers within the organization. So that is a conscious decision that is done by us within the organization, and then we do go all out to find the right candidates. And it is still based on merits. It is definitely still based on merit, right? But then because it's consciously within you that you'd like to also increase the numbers in the organization.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sharina. Before another bell rings, I just want to say we are very passionate women out here. It's very difficult to control the perspectives that we want to share. So I'm going to put in one last question around how do you see the future of women leadership across industries, moving beyond, your own organizations. But from your experience, what is it that we can do to develop more female leaders from within?
Not to be afraid of sitting on that table with all men. That's the first thing. I also don't believe in forcing women to sit on those tables, to be honest. It has to be part of your aspiration. You want it. If you want it, there's going to be something to support you. And I'm also telling you that it's not as scary as it sounds. Yes, it can be scary sometimes, but you get used to it. Grab that seat, upskill yourself, very positive, aspire. Just don't stop creating that identity for yourself. We women wear many hats. We're moms, we're wives, we're daughters. Sometimes, and by the way, big strength, multitaskers. You agree? Right? So we do so many things at one time. So just keep aspiring and upskill yourself and remain in that race. Just don't drop out.
And know that, you have women everywhere supporting you as well, right? And at the same time, just persevere and look out for each other. And at the same time, from an organizational lens, when you have that agenda already there, go for it. Go all out for it. Do whatever initiatives are necessary to really bring in that diversity. And then you can, start talking about inclusion and also equity as well, right? So, yeah, that's what I have to say.
Thank you so much. So I think okay. So in my view, personally, I think it's more about sponsoring women and women sponsoring women and men sponsoring women, giving them a platform to shine, to bring them more visibility. I think that's helped me personally a lot through a lot of leaders I have worked with. And I feel sponsorship is the next level of support that women at workplace need. But yeah. Thank you so much. This is where we end, but in case you have any questions on the floor, okay, so we're available outside, and feel free to reach out to any of us for any questions. Thank you so much for having us here.